Hello, I'm going to talk to you about an assignment called sentence structure. Just bear with me. This is a long video because this assignment will take you about a day and a half to do. I am going to talk to you about specifically with sentence structure, the importance of it, and then our beginning independent, dependent, simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. So understanding sentence structure is important because it provides us with a framework for the clear written expression of our ideas. Now, when you write a sentence, you need to always write incomplete sentences, which are correctly punctuated. A complete sentence contains a subject, verb, expresses a complete idea, and makes sense standing alone. Now, on each slide, you'll read the directions, then work the sentence structure assignment. You'll turn it into Canvas when you are finished. I will go over each assignment with you quickly and get you started. I will also cover the rules. Independent clauses, which is part of a simple sentence. Now, an independent clause is a sentence, and it includes a subject, a verb, which we sometimes use the fancy word predicate for the word verb, and it expresses a complete thought. Example, I eat apples. Who eats the apples? I do. I am the subject of this sentence. What do I do? Eat apples. So eat is the verb of this sentence. So that makes it a complete sentence. It's a short little simple sentence. Now, independent clauses would be like we drove to the store. Now, who drove? We did. We is the subject. What did we do? We drove. So we drove to the store. Now, to the store is a prepositional phrase, and you'll never find the subject in the prepositional phrase, just so you know that. Lisa listened to music. Lisa's our subject. Listened is our verb. The car broke down. Car is our subject. What did the car do? What did the car do? It broke. So therefore, broke is our verb. Independent clauses, let's practice. You're going to highlight the subject in green and the predicate, which we call verb, in red in the sample sentences. So all the independent clauses below. The fish swam in the water. So I did this first one with you. Fish, what I would like to do is go here and instead of highlighting, I prefer to change the color. The fish did what? Swam. So I'm going to change it to this nice red. The fish swam in the water. Done. Do that for the rest of these. The next part of this assignment, be looking at compound sentences. Now, compound, the word itself means two. So a compound sentence has at least two or more independent clauses. That means it's two sentences that have been joined together. Now, if every sentence we ever said was just a simple sentence, our language would be so boring. We don't speak in simple sentences typically, which is why we have to learn to write in compound sentences. A compound sentence is joined, the independent clauses are joined by a comma and a conjunction word. They may also be joined by a semicolon. In this case, no conjunction word is needed. So, for instance, I eat apples, comma, and I dip them in the caramel. So I eat apples is a sentence all on its own. It's an independent clause. I could put a period right there and that sentence could stop. But there's more I want to say about eating apples. So as long as you have something to add that has to do with the original I eat apples, then let's go ahead and make this a better sentence. It's a more sophisticated sentence to add more. But you have to do this correctly. I eat apples, comma, and making a joining word, I dip them in caramel. So I dip them in caramel has to also be a complete sentence if you're going to join them with what we call a coordinating conjunction. The coordinating conjunction, we use a little acronym called fanboys to name these. So here are the 7 coordinating conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So if you notice, it spells fan, boys. Learn those 7, and those are the only 7 coordinating conjunctions you'll ever use to join 2 independent clauses. Memorize them, use them. You will see those a lot in a test. Compound sentences. For example, my best friend went to the party. That is a complete sentence. Friends would be our subject. Went is our verb. Comma, but I stayed home. So we have I stayed home as an independent clause also. And we joined it with a comma and a fanboy. Leslie wanted hot dogs, comma, and Mark chose hamburgers. My teacher showed us an example, comma, and then we tried it. Our class won, comma, so we earned a pizza party. So when you choose your fanboy, make sure you're picking one that makes sense because they have different meanings. Be aware of that. Then we have some compound sentences for you to look at, for you to work. For instance, in each clause, highlight each subject green, highlight the predicate in red, and drag the circle over to the conjunction word. Okay, so we're going to say Mom dropped off the milk, comma, and then we went to lunch. So Mom is our subject, dropped is our verb. We have Mom dropped off the mail. That's our complete sentence. And then we went to lunch. So we went to lunch would be our next independent clause. And we are joining it. So we have we went. Go ahead and highlight it. And then we're going to have our circle that we bring over, and we go ahead and circle our fanboy or our coordinating conjunction. Do that for the rest of these sentences. Next and last is our dependent clause. The dependent clause also includes a subject and a verb, but a dependent clause, they do not express a complete thought. They often begin with subordinating conjunctions, which are different from coordinating conjunctions. Example, while I ate apples. Well, while I ate apples, we have a subject, which is I. Ate is the verb, but there's no complete thought. That's when we call this dependent. It's dependent on more of the sentence to make sense. While I'm eating apples, what? Well, this doesn't express a complete thought. Therefore, it is dependent. After we drove to the store, we is our subject, drove is our verb. We drove. What did we do? But what happened after we drove to the store? It doesn't tell us this. Therefore, this is a dependent clause. And we started off with this subordinating conjunction. I'm going to show you a list of those in just a minute. In fact, I'm going to move those up right now. Our list of common subordinating conjunctions, it would be what I call the AWEBIST list. And it's the AWEBIST because if you look, it's pretty much spells I love this word, AWEBIST, or some of my students say AWEBIST. But it's A, lots of A's after, although, as. Then we have our W list, whenever, where, whereas, wherever, while. We have our unless, until. Then we have our because, before, if. We have our since. We have our though, than. So that's what we call it, our AWEBIST list. And we're looking at this list. While Lisa listened to music, so we have while. That's our AWEBIST. That's our subordinating conjunction. Who listened? Lisa. What did Lisa do? Listened. What happened while Lisa listened to music? Again, it doesn't tell us. Therefore, this is a dependent clause. When the car broke down, what broke? The car did. What did the car do? Broke. What happened when the car broke down? We don't know. So this is another dependent clause. So what you're doing on this one is highlight the subject in green. And again, instead of highlighting, I like to come up and just change the color. Slipped, because Kelly slipped. Make that a red. That's our verb. Now, we have our subordinating conjunction. So we're going to go ahead and bring that blue and go over it. Because Kelly slipped, this is a dependent clause because it doesn't complete the thought. Do that for the rest of those. And then on this one, you will determine if the following clauses are independent or dependent. Write an independent for independent or D for dependent. Nancy likes math. So we have Nancy likes math. That's independent. It's a complete thought. While we traveled to the beach, so we is our subject. We did what? Traveled to the beach. That's dependent. We don't know what happened. So you're going to go through here and mark the colors, the subject and verb, and then tell me whether it's an independent or a dependent clause. And then we are going to do complex sentences that has one independent and one dependent clause. The dependent clause usually begins with a subordinate conjunction. Example, while I ate apples, comma, I dipped them in caramel. So while I ate apples is your subordinate conjunction. That's your dependent and your independent. So here's some examples of because the alarm didn't go off is your dependent. I ran late for work is your independent. So forth and so on. And what you will do on this assignment is highlight the independent clause in green and then go ahead and circle your subordinating conjunction. So after we went to dinner, so independent clause in green. So after we went to dinner is here. And what I need to do is to make these work, these all need to be, if it's not working, say highlight them, say arrange, order, send backwards, and then those should work. So dependent in green, Connor went to the movies. That's our dependent. After we went to dinner. So Connor went to the movies is our independent. After we went to dinner is our dependent. And we have after. Make that a little bit smaller. We'll do that for each of those. And then we will stop here with the assignment. Thank you.